ladies, gentlemen, scholars, to another episode of Keiser Plus AI. We have two incredibly distinguished guests on our podcast today. This is probably the family edition of the podcast for me. These are family members to me. They know way more information about me than I would even like to admit, and they will not be getting that in the podcast because they do have blackmail on me. So we will not go there, but we will talk plenty about AI. So first and foremost, I want to introduce a dear friend, a mentor to me, someone I've known for a very long time, a true friend, and a true leader within the digital marketing space. This is Mr. Mitch Talenfeld. Hello, Mitch.
Hello.
Thank you for being on the podcast. So Mitch Talenfeld is the CEO of MDT Marketing, where he leads strategy at the intersection of marketing, enrollment, and technology in higher education. With more than 30 years of experience, he started when he was 6, if you're curious, in education, marketing, and a passion for innovation and AI adoption. He works with institutions to improve student recruitment and engagement outcomes. He's also a leader in the career education sector, serving on multiple boards, including CQ, and contributing to initiatives that promote ethical marketing and student success. Mitch, which we're very proud to announce, is a graduate of Keiser University, and he brings a personal perspective to the evolving world of education and technology. I also want to say, outside of being a friend to me, Mitch was my Sherpa in this AI journey. Mitch, about 3 or 4 years ago, which I think he's part cyborg at this point, guys, but was yelling at me and telling me, hey, Robert, you need to learn more about AI. This is the future. This is where education is going. This is where all of industry is going. He was telling me about Ray Kurzweil and the singularity, and I had no idea what he was talking about. And then I had my own epiphany related to AI, and I called Mitch one day. I go, Mitch, you know what? I hate to say it, but you were right. So Mitch was there before all of us. He is the godfather to me of my AI journey. Again, without further ado, Mitch Talenfeld, and welcome. I'm also going to introduce another friend near and dear to the heart, Mr. Charles Parker. Many of you may know him from his time with Chat with Charlie. He is my co-host with Chat with Charlie and Friends. I am the friend. I don't think he has other friends, but we will talk about that later. Just kidding. But I am the one friend. All joking aside, this is an innovative, visionary leader in enrollment management and marketing. Charlie Parker is our own Vice Chancellor of Enrollment Management, Chief Marketing Officer at Keiser University. He has extensive experience in higher education, marketing, and enrollment. He is dedicated to advancing student success in career-driven education and preparing graduates for today's evolving workforce. He is passionate about helping connect students with opportunities that prepare them for success in an ever-changing world. And as I mentioned, he is the distinguished host of Chat with Charlie. All right, gentlemen, we'll jump into questions. You both occupy a very similar space in higher education, which is the crossroads of enrollment management and digital marketing. So I'm going to kick it to Mitch first. I want to ask him a question. You've been a leader in this industry over 30 years, a CEO of a very successful digital marketing firm. Can you explain to me how you've seen marketing change and where do you see it going with artificial intelligence?
Great question. I'm going to take you back to the 1980s when computers first appeared on people's desks. And I realized very quickly that this would change the world. So I dug in at that moment and I started learning everything I could about computers. I started digging in, and then came the internet in the mid-90s. Al Gore, I think, invented it. It came the internet in the mid-90s, and I dug into that trying to figure out what was going on. And then mobile marketing, the mobile phone. Oh my goodness, it was unbelievable, where you could literally plug in an address and the phone would guide you to this address. It wasn't as good as it is today. It was just getting better and better. And then came November 30th, I believe, 2022. When ChatGPT was released to the world. And in December, I first played with it, and it was stunning. And I had the same realization that I had back in the 80s. I've got to learn this. I've got to learn everything about it, because this is changing everything. And I mean everything. And we have seen since then the types of things that have happened. I could keep on going on and on. I'm happy to.
Well, go ahead. Well, just so what do you see, I guess, as the more groundbreaking, impactful changes in digital marketing? One of the things I know we've talked about a lot is how AI search is changing the SEO game because everything ran through Google for the last 10 years, 15 years, but that's kind of changing. So maybe you want to talk about that or other aspects.
No, that's a good start. So it's very interesting today. When I do a search, I'm sure when you do the same kind of search, oftentimes you'll kick into AI mode in Google, or you can do a search on ChatGPT as an example. And the difference between what search used to be, where you'd plug in a couple keywords, from that point, you would get the most relevant websites in front of you. You would start clicking in and reading it. You would see ads along the side or up top of the page that you reached out on. Today, it's different. AI is doing the search and the thinking for you. It's going through 50, 100, 200, 300 websites on a simple question. It's sifting through it. It's picking out what it believes is the best answers to the question and the way you ask that question. And it comes up with a synthesized answer which incorporates a little bit from every one of those pages. And it's what's interesting about it is it gives you information that you would have never even thought about asking about. I mean, you ask a simple question and it digs into all different directions. And now from a digital marketing perspective, the whole world has changed. My job, so our business, we work with schools, colleges, and universities. We help them with their marketing, their digital marketing. We help them with, we're a technology company. We are a communications company. Overnight, the world totally changed. And now all of a sudden, we had to rethink our entire strategy because a person's AI, however they search, whether it's their phone or that, was looking things up. How in the world? I mean, you ask yourself, how in the world can you, in helping, in our case, a school group, show up in these searches? And there's a long, involved strategy behind it. I'm sure Charlie can dig into that pretty nicely. But everything totally changed in our world.
I think that makes perfect sense. What I like to joke is that Google built a search engine empire over 20 years, and in 20 minutes, AI is starting to dismantle that empire. And I think there's some huge effects. You mentioned the rabbit hole you can get into information when you do search, finding yourself in a completely different destination than you ever imagined, which does do well for intellectual curiosity, but does it do well for relevance? But then again, the LLM are programmed differently. They have different algorithms that support it. I know, Mitch, you and I talk about bias within LLMs and what that means for consumer preferences and consumer thought processes. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. But I want to kick it over to Charlie, kind of a similar question. The game has been, for the last 20 years, PPC, PPI, search engine optimization in our type of higher education. AI is now becoming 25% today of the entire search. What happens to institutions who don't figure it out? And what is your recommendation for institutions who are trying to figure this out? How do they get ahead of the game?
Yeah, I'll see if I can. Good question. And then, what Mitch was talking about, we've had these iterations over time. And, full disclosure, Mitch has been a huge advocate and help to me and some systems I've been with. We were at a previous school before I was at Keiser. And you take that instance. So that was pre-2022, right, Mitch? and we were looking at how to do things, open up the margin and get more income, basically, right? Because we are a business, right? We want student populations, we want outcomes, we want all those things, but we also have a solvent, financial institution. And so at that time, we wanted to move away from aggregators or PPL, right? So we wanted to limit PPL, which is high, right? High quantity, low conversion. So you do a lot of human capital work inside of that. So we went from getting rid of PPI, going more towards PPC, which is pay per click, higher conversion point, a little bit more expensive, but the yield is better. And now we got AI. So to me, if I'm an institution, I guess I want to work backwards and say, okay, one is, who am I targeting? Who is the most likely to come to Keiser University and graduate? We don't want students. We want people that graduate, we deliver on our promise, and they're out in the workforce. So you take all that information, all their demo information, all those things that you can put in that AI can do for you now, and then say, okay, where are these individuals at? And then you take AI, and then it can help you hyper target better. So you're actually not only looking at the white space, but you're looking at the people that should be at your school. And the other thing, Robert and Mitch, I'd love to get your thoughts on is, my goal always is to be more organic, to have zero acquisition part. Like, that's my Tangia. That's my, come to our school and there's very little effort you have to do because it's based on repetition or referrals. And I think AI is going down that route based on how you prompt, how it searches all the copy out there, right? Mitch, it's not SEO anymore, search engine optimization, search everything. Every copy that's out there feeds the LLM to set a narrative and set a truthfulness of who you are. So you can't hide anymore. It's kind of like, if you guys remember, we went from 4K TV and then you'd see people and you're like, oh my gosh, they don't have a great complexion. They got to work on that because 4K brought it out.
Oh, I
That's
swear,
what AI is doing.
everyone's
It's giving us
LinkedIn
clarity.
profile picture is not at all what they look like. I'm with
Right.
you on that.
But you know what I mean? And I think for schools, I think you got to, first define who you are and who your right population mix is, and then use these tools to find the most efficient way possible for them to consider you first and then choose you second. And these tools that are coming out now make it easier. But like Mitch said, you got to be a student of the game. You have to be involved with it.
I love that. And I'm going to pick on you, Charlie, a little bit because I love that thought, and it leads to another question and sequitur to another question. You were mentioning using AI for demographic analysis, using AI to build brand. And I do believe in this era of AI, authenticity and brand equity are going to be even more important because everyone's going to have a professional website. Everyone's going to have a search engine optimization or LMO optimization strategy. There are going to be desires of students to find true organic experiences as well. So I want to ask you about that. I know at Keiser, we strongly believe in the human-centric approach to education, but we also want to be tech forward. We don't want to be left behind. So how do you marry the two? Where in the admissions process is it appropriate to use admissions? Well, I would assume all of it. Where in the admissions process is it appropriate to use AI? And where is it important to stop using AI and go back to the organic human relationship development? Because I think the best use of AI is using it as a tool, not a crutch, marrying human to AI. But that's my bias. So I'm curious to know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, right now, and especially our culture at Keiser, we're high touch point, high human relation. We're in the human business. That's never going to go away. And I think there's an argument out there, and you have to watch it to see, how best to use this. Some people are using it for call. Like, I get calls all day, and they're bots. I don't even know how to tell them not to call me because it's a bot. So
And in the
forces me-
audience, if anyone is doing this, stop calling. We hate it.
So I won't call them, right? I won't, one, I won't answer, but I'll block it. So how do you marry? Because you have to reach out to people. Like, ideally, the door will keep swinging open, but it doesn't, because they need to also find interest. They got endorphins that go up and down based on, certain things you do in advertising or certain things you do with outreach and engagement. So for me in Keiser, and this is what I think right now, is I need to use this tool so I can get more people in front of the humans that we have. Our caring professionals need to see people. So my idea of using the technology right now is to target better, so I get the right people to enter the doors and see the people that are humans, flesh and blood. And then two, how can I use that to get to more, right? Because if you're a company and you have high FTE count, like Robert, we talked about this, Mitch, we've been talking about just the admissions department since, Jerry Springer days, or the DM days. You've got, 8 admissions counselors, you got, an associate director of admissions, they have a DOA, and then every campus has their own department. Well, is that still the right thing to do? And how do you approach that? How do you look at different ways? So I think, Robert, the jury's still out. We're a unicorn in Florida. We've got a lot of density with our campuses, a lot of program overlap, and we have, 106 plus programs to offer. So I think, how do you marry that right now to accomplish the goal, but not move away from our positioning, which is the humanistic approach to every student, even online based, it's still got a human element.
Yeah, Mitch, get in
So,
there. I'd love to hear
Yeah,
your thought on
please.
so as uh, uh, as one of your graduates, I
Alum.
can alum, male for plural alumni. Yes. As I am one of your alum. I graduated, by the way, when I was 62 years old.
So awesome.
I can tell you through the experience that I had in my 3 years at Keiser, you have an amazing advantage. And let me take you back and bring AI into the picture. AI looks at who you are, who your organization is,
Mm-hmm.
who your students are, the experience that your students have, the experience that your alumni has, and it pulls information from many different places. We before used to be able to control how those searches would go. Can't control it anymore, or you can influence it, but you can't control it the way you used to be able to. So back to the point, Keiser University is, I had a real, so my story. I'm a slow reader. I'm probably dyslexic. I've got challenges. I went to school, stopped, went back to school, stopped, and all in a community college experience. And it was very difficult for me juggling 2 classes at a time, part-time. It was a challenge. And then came along, I was finally fed up with it. And a person in your role convinced me to try Keiser. He says, but one thing, it's full time. And I says, what? I can't do part-time. I can't do 2 classes at a time. He says, Mitch, if after the first class it doesn't work, stop. This 1 class at a time concept is amazing. And if I were to give you, Charlie, any thoughts back, you've got a plethora of alumni who will tell you exactly how incredible Keiser University was to them and the experiences that they had. I saw it online. I got to know your students. I got to know, so you have a major advantage. It's just pulling, getting people to talk about who you are.
That's the hard part. Is
No, just go into any hospital, go into any doctor's office.
I
will
agree with you.
that the reputation you have is just totally and absolutely amazing. Just, I believe that you can get people to start talking about more and more who you are, and that will make its way into the AI as an example of something you could
Robert,
do.
if I can say this, and that sets the
please.
narrative to create the authenticity of individuals that don't know us. When they say 3 sentences when they're prompting out, right? Then that gives them that feedback instead of one keyword or doing the keyword game, Mitch, that we've always done or something like that. The other thing, Robert, I just want to tell you is AI is great for nurturing. Like instead of date cadence intervals, you can use it for situational now and have it insert different things. Mitch's group has great things with video and things like that that you can do. The other thing is chat, right? We know on our website you can't always be available. So AI can be useful for some basic information that's contained, right? Not open source, and then kicks it over to a human. But the key is to make sure you don't lose who you are to try to save money. I did a post, Mitch, yesterday on SEO, and all these people are saying, hey, spend $500 bucks. You don't need to spend all this money on SEO. Well, you're going to get what you pay for because you still need someone there, someone helping you, someone looking at the blogs, the content, the program pages, the FAQs. The AI can help you do that faster, but you still need someone there. So you can't sacrifice for the almighty dollar your business, at least in my perspective.
Well, there's a lot of people who are really afraid today that they're going to lose their jobs. And I can tell you without a doubt, and I've spent a lot of time, heck, Charlie, I don't know if you know it, but I listen to podcasts a couple hours a day. I read book after book. I play with AI. Everything in my life is AI. Let me tell you something. As good as it is, and it's just going to get better, it cannot take the human out of the mix. AI is a tool. It's a tool that's going to make us better, just like computers made us better, just like mobile phones made us better. It's a tool. If you look at a job description, we all have a whole bunch of tasks that we do for every job that's out there in society. Well, AI is going to be able to do some of those tasks better than you, but it can't do the human piece. It can't think like you think. And let me tell you something. AI will accelerate, will help you be better, or you can leverage out. If you're good at what you do, it will make you better. If you're not good at this, if you haven't learned about a subject matter and you dig into AI, it's going to say you're smart, you're great. That was a great question. And here's your answer, only it'll be making this stuff up. And the point I'm getting at, and it goes back to what you're doing, Robert, is you're weaving and integrating AI into everything Keiser University. And I can tell you, I will not hire anybody who doesn't embrace learning AI, embrace what's necessary in order to utilize it to do their jobs better, faster, and more effectively. But anyway, I think Robert, what you guys are doing is amazing.
Well, we appreciate that. And by the way, because we were talking about you being a grad, we are super proud of you. So we think you are amazing. And I just need to say that I think you guys are spot on. I think that there are tasks that AI are good at that should reduce the bandwidth concerns for our humans, reduce the backlog that you may have. Charlie and I were having a conversation in admissions. A lot of the skills that admissions counselors need are both interpersonal and technical, but often we hire interpersonal skills, people who can build rapport with other students or with students and help them make the best choice for them, even if it's not going to Keiser, but truly empathize and care with that student because they're adult learners, their lives are complex. They don't know how to navigate a very complex collegiate university admission system. But you need to be able to connect at a human level. That's something that AI will never, and I hope not, because then we're all in trouble, let's put it that way. But for the time being, does not do well, cannot do. It doesn't have the EQ. It doesn't have the empathy. That's where the human really needs to step in. But when we're talking about flipping tasks, changing statuses, putting in paperwork, signing documentation, and all these things that become really burdens for our admissions counselors, because typically admissions people are not your task-oriented, organized humans. But that's
They're
where you
not.
can, right?
And we don't want them to be,
and you
right?
don't want them to be. So that's a great application where you can marry the two. And I agree with you, Mitch. A lot of the phobias about displacement, I think, are just fears. It was the same with Y2K. The world was going
It's
to end.
unknown.
And there will be displacement. I don't want to say there's going to be none, but there's going to be new skills, new opportunities, and there's going to be a need for reskilling. But for most of your best people, you're 10xing them. You're freeing them up to do the work that they should be doing, as opposed to, oh, I have this amazing admissions counselor. All they're doing is putting things into the CRM.
Yeah. Can I say something, Robert, on that?
Please go for it.
Just take a basic example of reading an email. And we all have the individuals that write really long emails. You can put that in a summary now. So at our payroll, right, our pay rate, do we want to sit there and read a long email when we can just throw it in and say, give me the most important points that I need to know? I mean, it's simple things like that that can help you be more efficient at your role or your job. And for admissions people, they stink at follow-up, they stink at any sort of database hygiene for the most part. And these tools used right can help them do what you hire them to do. And that's meet people and be an ambassador for us, Keiser University.
And I completely agree. And look, as someone who manages terminally credentialed individuals, they love dissertations for emails. When you get as many emails as we do on this call, and not to gloat, it's just our reality. In fact, I don't want to brag about that. I would love less emails. You don't have the time to read dissertations. You just need to know what the topic is. What is the purpose of the email? I want to ask you guys a question. Mitch, this is for you. This is a big part of our conversation. At the end of the day, LLMs are based on algorithm. There is now research out there that talks about political bias in LLMs. There's now research out there that talks about bias against proprietary colleges and certain types of colleges and universities. How do we train applicants? How do we train consumers, Americans in general, to question their reality and don't take AI just for its word? And also, how do we get to the thought leaders to provide a more balanced approach to information gathering?
That's a big question. That is doesn't have a simple answer. So let me let everybody know, or as far as what we were talking about in bias. Robert, you did a search for a high-level teammate, correct?
Correct. I was looking for a dean at the time.
And what happened?
So when I was looking for a dean, I put criteria, like Mitch. I am not hiring anyone for international or the graduate school who is not going to be AI forward, and for a professor or an academic who's not going to at least teach AI application industry. So one of the criteria was being AI forward. One of the criteria was having a terminal degree, and so on and so forth. When we did, I had 115 applicants. I wasn't going to read all the resumes. Sorry, whoever applied. If you're one of them, I apologize. But I used AI to filter out the applications. What I did notice, though, was that when I was reading the narratives, and that's why it's really important to have the human in the loop and to make sure that you read the back end of what is prompted, because it will just write. And if you don't read it, you don't know what it's doing. It's really important to read the output. It was filtering out, although I did not tell it to do that, for-profit college and university experience. If you worked at a for-profit college and university, it wouldn't necessarily not allow you to be a top applicant, but it was dinging you in the algorithm. I actually told the algorithm, or I was using Claude. I told Claude to redo the analysis, get rid of that bias, and it told me, yes, it is a bias. But then it redid the search, but it was filtering on that parameter.
So the answer back is I'm not fully sure. We're going to be forming a task force at CQ to dig into this, to number one, make sure that it's true that this is taking place. evidence versus a one-off or two-off situation. And then from that point, we're going to be bringing in some of the smartest people in the sector to be able to help us figure out how to influence AIs, how to do it on a local level and a national level. But both of you have brought up a point I do not want to let pass, and that is the way it's filtering you out. The way when someone does a search and it's bias, it's saying it's pulling in information that was biased in the past and assigning that to your school, or it could be any industry. It could be any type of group if there's bias out there, particularly political. It is filtering. It's not giving you an opportunity to reach out to people in the way you want to reach out. We've got to recognize that AI is talking to their AI. AI is communicating with AI. Charlie, you said that when you get all these calls coming in, you're filtering them out. And I can tell you that AI is filtering them out without you even touching them. So imagine a scenario where you're trying to reach out to a prospective student and you're, from a marketing perspective, reaching out and AI is coming back to them based on how they think and giving them information that it thinks that that person is wanting to hear. You're reaching out, they fill out a form, that form comes in and you start reaching out. Well, their phone blocks you because of the AI in their phone. So now you aren't able to reach them on a phone call. You may not be able to reach them a text message. How do you get through? This is a big challenge from a marketing perspective of how we are able to do our jobs in an effective way. And students really want to talk to us, and Keiser's a great school. But if you can't make it through their AI, if your AI can't get to their AI and convince them, then there's a gap there. So it's something to think about. It's something we're working on. It's trying to figure these things out, but recognizing it and then moving forward in different tests and strategies, figuring out, and every time you get blocked, then figure out a way around it, because we want to make sure our students who want to come to Keiser, who belong to Keiser, actually can get through and Keiser can get through to them.
To your point, and maybe a bridge to Charlie here, we had Vincent Scarmuso from EdExec on an earlier podcast episode. We were talking about applicants who's created a resume through AI, but it's not the same LLM as the one that's reading the applications and having a conflict, because Claude wants to talk to Claude. It doesn't want to talk to Perplexity, and so on and so forth. So to Mitch, we're seeing that in different verticals and different industries. Charlie, anything you want to weigh in on that? If not, I got another question for you.
No, I mean, Mitch said it perfectly. I mean, again, it's just, you cannot just sit in your office and hope things works out, right? That's the message I think here is, like Mitch said, he reads a lot, he listens to podcasts. You got to almost be like neutral and getting all the information and then test and see how it works for your system or whatever it is. Take phone calls, for instance. Well, some people mask, some people do this, some people use shortcut. There's so many ways of doing it. And I'm just going to do a plug too for really good partners. You can't do everything on your own. You won't be successful. You're smoking your own exhaust sometimes. It just is what it is, right? You have to have good partners on the telephony side to bounce things off of or work with you. On the agency side for inquiry acquisition, or be efficient with it on nurturing. You have to be part of an ecosystem that brings us all up, if that makes sense to you. But I think you can't mistake yourself that you can do it all on your own, and you can only go to the people that you know. You have to talk, you have to learn, you have to understand it, and then, my gosh, you have to test. The only scary part I have, Robert, is the creativeness. I am so worried. I shared this with Mitch a while ago. I'm so worried about my colleagues losing their creativeness because they're so data driven now that they're losing what I believe marketing is, or advert is, or brand application is, and that's really showing off the emotional side of your organization. And I
Well,
worry
to
we're going
your
to lose
point,
that.
we had actually the last episode we just had on Keiser Plus AI, we had Juan Carlos on the podcast, and he was talking about human creativity is going to be more important than ever before in the
Yep.
AI era. Because what seems to be novel, what doesn't get caught by safe assign or turn it in, it's not really actually novel. What the AI is doing is that it's excellent in pattern recognition. And it will identify patterns and patterns and patterns where we think it's a brand new idea, but it's really not a new idea. It's just aggregating different ideas into a singular idea that is relatively a newer take, but it's essentially the same take. I can tell you, as someone who uses AI constantly, I can look at basically creative and be like, that's Claude created. That's
Yeah, you're
Codex
right.
created. And the Claude uses a color palette that's very clear. It uses a template design that's very clear. And I think it's going to lose some of its appeal because it's going to get overused. So I want to ask you that, Charlie, because I agree. That's where human ingenuity cannot be lost. It should be paired with the productivity that AI provides. But how do we stimulate AI creativity and our human creativity? And maybe how do you lead an institution from, say, a marketing perspective with human creativity, understanding that a lot of it's still going to be AI produced?
No, I know. I don't think it's easy. I would love Mitch to chime in on this too, but that I try really hard because I don't, you said it, AI does not create anything new. There's nothing new it's creating. And algorithms, we talked about since Ask Jeeves. I mean, and back then, algorithms have been around for a while. What AI does is work backwards for you, but you can take what works backwards and figure out new creative ways of responding to it. Like I'm doing a billboard right now, and on that billboard, it's a sample prompt. And Adriana, who is not on this call but should be on this call, helped design this. And basically, it's saying, where can I get education at AI? And then AI spits out Keiser University, right? So we're taking AI but putting a human creativeness in a fun way of just stating the obvious to people, right? And stuff like that. But I say this and my son rolls his eyes when I say this. I still want to lay on my back and look at clouds and make pictures of those. And I want people that work around me to always be stimulated. Shut your electronics down and sit and brainstorm. Remember storyboards, Mitch? Remember doing all those kind of, we still need that. I don't know how if you don't have someone taking the lead on that, but someone has to remind them it's not ones and zeros. That's not what you're dealing with. You're also dealing with lifestyle, emotions, endorphin spikes. You're dealing with those things that AI can't do for you yet. Look at LinkedIn right now. You can see a lot of collateral pieces. They're all the same color structure, same hard edges, same segments at the bottom on the call to actions. And everybody's using them because now instead of paying a designer 150 bucks an hour, they're just throwing there and doing it. So we're going to come to a tipping point on this, I do think, and we're going to find out. And I do think that that human side is going to become more prevalent as we do that. I think it's a good thing for the human race and not an adverse thing, I guess what I'm saying. I don't know if
Well,
you'd agree with that, Mitch.
well, no, I totally agree with it. But here's the thing: AI um, can never be as creative as people are. When you start thinking about what it is to be human, and you start thinking about when you're lying there looking at the clouds and different thoughts are coming into your head from different places, different kinds of thoughts. You're thinking about one thing which connects you to a different thing, and your mind is just wandering. AI doesn't do that. AI doesn't pull together information from different parts of it. It is answering your question. Whether it's good or bad, that answer is depending upon how you ask it. It's being very specific. It comes up with a design, but you have a really creative person that directs it on exactly their ideas, those thoughts that came to them. And you're going to have something special coming out. AI is not going to knock creative people out of their jobs. It's a tool, just like Photoshop is a tool. It's just like every other tool that they've been able to use in the history of art. It's a tool, and we can make it really work well.
I think that's well said, gentlemen. I don't know about you guys, but I'm laying on my back, touching grass, as the kids will say, staring at the clouds. I'm only thinking about food and alcohol, but you don't need to answer that question. I really appreciate, gentlemen, your time. Super insightful. I think the audience has gained so much from this. I want to have a little bit of fun at the end of our podcast, because otherwise this is just a hostage situation and an interrogation, no waterboarding, which is good. But my question for you both. Okay, so AI, it's got to be AI related. Are we, and I know Charlie's answered this, are we going to sign up for the first generation humanoid who does your laundry and cleans your house? Mitch, I got to go to you because Charlie's gonna love this question, but we're gonna go to Mitch first.
No.
No,
And the answer is
Okay.
no. I do not want a robot hanging out in my house, listening to every single thing that we're talking about, knowing everything that I'm writing about, connecting every dot in my life. No, I have no interest in that. We in life have a privacy's history, but that's now getting into the above and beyond.
Fair enough. Honestly did not expect that at all. Okay, Charlie, your turn.
I got $200 that says I'm gonna have one
He's got
very
it.
soon. I did put a deposit.
Are you gonna
Mitch.
name it? Are you gonna name it?
Well, what my plan is I'm gonna get a nice Keiser polo, have some slacks and appropriate shoes, and have it walk down the hall and just go like this. Hey guys, and then
Hey,
walk back to my
that is a
office.
good idea.
Come on.
I love it. That's the new work from home strategy.
That's a new work
love
from home.
that. That's a good idea.
We're gonna get remote whether they like it or not.
That's right. That's right. You know what? I will say this. I'm gonna get one. It's, it'll tuck me into bed. I'm not so worried about the whole iRobot thing. I know a lot of people are. All right. Next question. I think I know Charlie's answer on this one too. Self-driving. Okay, are we going to, in the next 5 years, gentlemen, are we going to have a fully self-driving car? Mitch first, Charlie second.
The answer is we probably have one today. However, now you're getting into regulations, city by city, county by county, state by state. It all depends on the regs of that particular local.
Let me
locality.
reframe this though. Let me reframe this. Sorry to interrupt you. So my wife and I, last Saturday, we go to the Hard Rock. We go to a Josh Groban concert. Jennifer Hudson led, amazing. It was so good. But we both want to drink. She has a Tesla Model X, drove us there and back. She is on the way back after we're fully buzzed, mind you. Okay. Put it in self-driving mode and shopping on TikTok with her phone near, and she's the driver, right? I'm right next to her in the seat, and I'm like, I'm nervous, right? But at the end of the day, it's way safer, right? If you have a drink or so, it's way safer. So let's say the technology is there. Let's just assume it to be true. That answer is too pragmatic for me, Mitch. It makes too much sense. It's too smart. It is. Are you going to get one?
Oh, well, I would feel fine with that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
My car practically drives me as it is. I mean,
Okay.
it certainly listens to what I have to say. I have conversations with it as I'm driving down the road. Yeah, why not?
There you go. That's what I figured. Mr. Parker, Sarah, what about you?
So you know what I drive.
I
And
know what you drive.
I am 93% of the time full self-driving now.
Really? I didn't
I
know
am
that.
93% the last I checked. I always use FSD on it. So Andrea and I share a similar thing. I will tell you, there was an article, someone had a massive heart attack, and his Tesla drove him to the hospital. Um, so that's kind of cool. And there's some other stories like that, and also horror stories. And not only that, RK, but I'm gonna trade that in when robo taxis come out, and I will definitely sit back in that seat and
I
not
love
touch
it.
anything.
I love it when that
So
cyber cab comes out or whatever it's called. Mitch, Charlie, it's been an absolute honor to have you. You guys are amazing, so insightful related to the crossroads of digital marketing and enrollment management. Ladies, gentlemen, scholars, this is another episode of the Keiser Plus AI podcast. Please tune in. Again, if you want to join the channel, you want to join the show, please reach out to me, DM Adriana. We're welcome to have you. Again, you have a good evening. We'll see you soon.